Hey, welcome. And today we're going to have a very special episode on your healthy self, health transformation. We're going to be talking about gratitude. And a lot of this research has been done by one of our phenomenal practitioners here, Cami Gillette. And she's put together, just a few things that I want to share with you. She spoke at our last Go Wellness event. And so some of you were able to see that. That event had a phenomenal turnout. We had doctors from all over the country coming in, and they were able to learn some of this beautiful magic of gratitude. And a lot of us, I don't think we realize how much gratitude impacts us on a day-to-day basis. So how many of you, first of all, before we get started, how many of you have a gratitude process? How many of you have something you do every day where you just pause for a minute and you just reflect on all the amazing things that happen to you in your life? I started doing this mindset morning, and many of you have heard me talk about this before, but I started doing this mindset morning ritual about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I read the book, The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and I had a chance to meet Hal Elrod last month at the Genius Network, and it was so amazing. He's a great individual, but his process is about an hour, and I said, I want to condense it to like 15 minutes. And so I created this process where, in the first 5 minutes, you're clearing your mind. The second 5 minutes, you're just writing down all the things you're grateful for, your goals, your vision, what you want to accomplish. And then the last 5 minutes is spent visualizing. And so it's a process that I've taken my brain through almost every day for the last almost 4 years now. And it's changed everything. And I notice on days where I don't focus on gratitude, I'm edgier, I don't feel as good, I don't have the same energy. So today, as we go through this, if you do not have a gratitude process in place, I would say the easiest way to start is what one of my coaches, Dan Sullivan, does, and that's where every night before bed, you just talk about the 3 wins, the 3 great things that happened throughout the course of your day, and see how that changes your energy. Because at night, when your brain is going to sleep, nighttime is the ideal time for you to get your brain working on the positive things. When you start thinking about the negative things at night, then your brain has a difficult time processing anything but negativity. So you wake up tired, you don't feel as good. So there's an app that Dan Sullivan created. It's called the Win Streak app, and you can get it on your phone. And this Win Streak app just helps you plug in. It reminds you to plug in your 3 wins for the day. And it's actually a really fun thing. So that's a great way you can start gratitude. But as we're going through the science of it, what I would encourage each one of you to do is to think about some things you're grateful for first and foremost. And then let's start putting in a practice every single day, because this is the foundation of your health. Your health is all dependent on you being grateful. So is there science behind gratitude, Regan? Is this some woo-woo thing and some, kind of ideology where you're just trying to get us to, think that we're doing something cool when maybe there's nothing behind it to substantiate it? But, first of all, if you look at the science behind this, number one is gratitude is going to help with it's going to bring a sense of ease, and it's going to alleviate a lot of stressors. I mean, before you have an issue with somebody, if you're, let's say you've got, there's some conflict in your relationship and you need to confront it. Let's say it's with your spouse. Well, one of the very easiest ways to get through that conflict and not completely explode your adrenal glands is by simply first stating the things that you're grateful about that other person. And so this is one of the most basic things that you can do, and it regulates your body stressors so that your body's not in this fight or flight response. And so I think a lot of us, if we start a conversation where, yes, you're going to have things that you have to confront on a day-by-day basis. There's things that people do that are going to irritate you. And if you're trying to do bigger and better things in your life, then, there's going to be conflict. There's going to be issues that you need to confront. And so the very first thing is have gratitude. Start it off with gratitude. Start with the wins, something that's working, and then you get into what's not working, and it's very simple. So the second thing that gratitude does is it helps with attuned communication. So this is really important because we need this communication. We need attuned communication to feel connected with other people. And I would have to argue that our lives are built around these connections and really helping streamline the abilities that we have to, get in touch with other people. And so this attuned communication is one of the keys with gratitude. I mean, think about how poor your communication is when you go at somebody and you have no gratitude. All you have is blame. And of course, the old saying, if you have one finger pointing at someone else, you've got three pointing right back at you. So I think, one of the biggest things with your communication is go into it and start with the win, start with gratitude, start with what's working. And then you can start dissecting those things that aren't working. But this attuned communication is what's going to keep you connected and close. And then it helps that communication be very productive, because otherwise you'll see people, they'll spin out. If you start to confront some issues that you have with them, either maybe it's a work performance and you're a manager in your organization, or the business owner, or maybe it's in my case, it's patients that we're confronting. We have to stop them and say, hey, look, you have big goals in your health, but we need to stop for a minute and just really look at what you're doing. Some of these behaviors are not helping move you in that right direction. Here's the behaviors that we love, though. We love that you're doing your mindset morning every day. You're doing your meditation. I love that you are eating organic, healthy foods. I love the fact you're getting the vegetables in. And I love the fact you're getting healthy meats. I love the fact that you're rehabbing your joints after you had stem cells in them or whatever treatment you may have had. But there's some things that we need to change. And so do you mind if we talk about those? And so if you start with the gratitude, then you can stay connected. The third thing that gratitude does is it helps with emotional balance. And so it keeps you from being overwhelmed, because if you notice when you feel stressed, there's no gratitude there. Gratitude opens up your energy so that you can just see things for the way they are. You don't feel like I've got to accomplish everything right now in this moment. I know many of you have long checklists, a lot of things you're trying to accomplish in your lives, and I honor that. I mean, I have the same thing going on. But when you start with gratitude on these projects, the projects start to take a life of their own, and they don't necessarily need to be forced. And so the emotional balance that can come with gratitude, it keeps you from being overwhelmed or inflexible. And then it also changes your emotional response to stress. So if you're in, let's say many of you are going to be driving when you listen to this in the future, and maybe even right now, but what's going to happen is you're going to get in a traffic jam, right? Or someone's going to cut you off, or you're going to get honked at, and you're like, what did I do? And so instead of having this kind of emotional reaction where you want to extend your middle finger or feel the stress or the energy of that, just try thinking about all the cool things, all the things you're grateful for. I mean, sometimes I'll even think, man, it's so amazing that I'm in this car and it transports me from one place to the next, and I can get from my house up in the mountains, I can get down to the city in 25 minutes, and that's incredible. If I was looking at this, talking to my great-grandfather, it would take him 2 days to make it this distance with the horse and buggy. It's crazy. So there's so many things that we have to be grateful for. All right, let's jump to the next one. And this is, the fourth thing is response flexibility. And so what response flexibility is it's your ability to pause before you take action. So if you have a lot of gratitude, then what happens is you have great opportunities that come your way. And a lot of great opportunities, it's really important that you say no to many of those, right? I think there's a lot of us who we've had to say no to these really amazing opportunities just because we know we can't take one more thing on. And so what gratitude does is it allows you to kind of navigate and really make a decision from your heart. It also helps with, thing number 5, which is empathy. And empathy is where you have the compassion and the ability to see other points of view. And so I think these two things go hand in hand. The response flexibility, where you can kind of navigate a situation and see if it's really worth your energy and your time. Because at the end of the day, time is the only currency that we have. And so you've got to start looking at that. But then if you can have the empathy, then you can start to see the deeper meaning behind this opportunity that you have. or this situation that you feel maybe you've been wronged, or you feel someone is not pulling their weight around you. Maybe your kids aren't cleaning their room. And so, you want to look at it and say, well, is it really that important? Is them cleaning their room worth me having an emotional reaction and ruining my day and theirs over it? Or is there a way that we can go about this where they actually get, because it's important, they need to clean their room and learn how to take care of their belongings, of course, but is there a better way? And so this is where you can have empathy and say, well, like with my daughter, what we discovered, my wife and I, is that she does so much better if I, like Zoe, if I say, Zoe, your room is a mess, your closet's a mess, we need to get it cleaned up. And she goes into her room and she doesn't know where to start. But what I found, because we exercise this compassion, is it's so much better if I say, hey, Zoe, first of all, can you get the clothes off the floor and put them in the dirty clothes, and something basic like that. She finishes that. Okay, now let's talk about the next step and the next step. Okay, now organize your shoes. Now we need to get rid of clothes that don't fit, so all those things. So that's what it does. Insight. So the other thing that gratitude does is gives you insights. And one of the most important insights you can have is understanding your past. A lot of us, we just move beyond our past and we don't take the time to learn from it. But I think this is one of the most important things. And as we do health coaching with our patients, we're constantly saying, now, what did you do in the past that really works? And what did you do in the past that didn't work? And especially when we talk about nutrition, I'll have people go back through the last year. What were some of your best habits? What were the worst habits? What times were you eating that, were you starting to eat at 6 a.m, you didn't finish until, 8 at night? I mean, what was your eating schedule like and how was your energy levels? But if we can use the past as our biggest experience transformer, that's where you can really get the wisdom and the learning from. A lot of people, they repeat the same thing over and over again for 30 years. So I hear a lot of acupuncturists or doctors, they'll say, well, I've got 30 years experience. And I'll say, yeah, 30 years experience doing the same thing over and over again. You never learned, you never took time to look at the past and to really carve out what's working and what's not so that you can move to the next level. So when you have gratitude, you can actually appreciate all of the valuable lessons from the past. If you don't have gratitude, then some of those experiences that may not have been pleasant in the time, you didn't learn from those experiences. And so those experiences, you just want to get rid of those. But if you can have gratitude around those learning experiences, that can start transforming your experience altogether, and you can get a phenomenal amount of insight from your past, more so than you can from any book. So once again, gratitude's huge. Gratitude helps with fear modulation. So it helps you convert this fear, this energy behind fear or anger or any of those emotions that may drive resentment or drive you to make decisions that aren't from your heart or from your highest self. And this gratitude principle, it will take fear and just completely remove it, because you can't be grateful and fearful at the same time. It's very difficult. Of course, you can be grateful for life and everything that's going around you and be smart about not taking risks that would jeopardize you or your family or your future at all. But what gratitude does is it can modulate the fear so that fear becomes practical, and fear is not what's driving your responses. And the other thing that fear or that gratitude does is it helps with intuition. And so if you look at the intuition, you've got these neurons that connect from your gut to your brain and your heart. And so what happens is with intuition is what I found. I had, one of my mentors, Doreen Virtue. I don't know if you guys have read her work, but in 2016, I went and spent about a month in Hawaii, and I finished my book, Your Health Transformation. It was a book that I needed to get out, but I needed some clear time. And everyone at East West was so phenomenal. As I left, they took care of the clinic. Everything just ran very smoothly. But the crazy thing about Doreen is she's so intuitive, and I just said clairvoyant. I was like, look, I just don't have that. And she said, look, you have intuition, like, because you feel it in your body when you know something's right. There's this gut instinct. And then she talked about your heart and your gut are where you're going to feel it, and then your brain will finally tell you what the answer is. And so I thought that was a perfect way. But But one of the ways you can increase your intuition is by having gratitude. And when you have gratitude, you start living in possibilities and opportunities. You start seeing, like, man, maybe there is a way that I can get over this autoimmunity, or maybe there is a way I can turn on my brain so I can get rid of my brain fog. Maybe there is a way to fix my digestive system, or maybe there is a way to fix my chronic pain. All these things, if you have better intuition, you will be led in the right direction. And this is what we tell patients all the time. I say, well, okay, can you think of a better way that we could serve you in you reaching your highest levels of health and healing? And I always, all the time, I hear patients, no, this just feels right. The approach that you're sharing with me, Regan, it feels right, because what you're doing is you're giving me, the 3 transformations. You're getting all the right tests ordered so that we know what's going on. You're giving me the right treatments, these regenerative treatments that will help my body grow and proliferate and really express full physical capabilities. And then the right training, the right mentoring, so that I know what to do. Once I have a plan in place, I actually execute on that plan. So that feels right to me. So intuition is one of the key things that comes from gratitude. And then finally, morality is one of those areas where your gratitude can really help you think about the bigger picture, the greater good. And so I tell people all the time, I said, your pain and poor health is the most expensive thing you can carry around with you. And people are like, wow, why do you say that, Regan? I'm like, because it doesn't just impact you, it impacts your sister, your brother, if you have siblings. It affects your kids if you're a parent. It affects your spouse. It affects your coworkers. It affects everybody you interact with, because you are constantly clouded by this poor health or this pain. And it can be very diminishing to your overall energy that you can give to others and your ability to serve. And so I think when you have gratitude, and gratitude for who you are as an individual, then you're far more likely to do something about your health. You're far more likely to go exercise. You're far more likely to get out in the sun first thing in the morning. You're far more likely to detoxify, because I think we all as humans, we tend to put our health under the rug until it gets to the point where it's just yelling in our ear and nagging at us. But it's time to retrain our brains. And the more gratitude we have, the easier it is to think about the larger picture that our overall health plays. And so if you think about this gratitude, not only does it affect your heart and your brain, but it also affects your third eye, or this part of your brain that doesn't connect. It's like our sixth sense. And the sixth sense helps connect to intuition, to insight, inspires you, it motivates. It also, when you have gratitude, this part of your brain can help produce melatonin for greater sleep. It helps you with empathy. It helps you connect with the light, and not only just the light, the sunlight in the morning, which gets your cortisol going and turns down your melatonin, but it also helps you connect with the light in other people, and just helps you feel lighter in general. And it works on the pineal gland. So if you look at the parts of the brain, when you have gratitude, studies have shown that your thalamus gland is healthier, and your hypothalamus. So this hypothalamus is what regulates all the hormones in your body. And then the thalamus gland is what makes these T cells. And these T cells help with immunity. And so if you want to have more robust hormones and a better immune system, then practice gratitude. Helps you sleep better, it calms your mind, it focuses thoughts. And so all these things can be developed from this. So even if we look at childhood development, now this is an image of Cammie and her cute daughter. So her daughter's about a year old. But if you look at what happens just on some of the studies, a daily gratitude practice can decelerate the effects of neurodegeneration, as measured by a 9% increase in verbal fluency that occurs with increasing age. So just having a little bit of gratitude can help not only increase your verbal fluency, but grateful people have a 16% lower diastolic blood pressure and a 10% lower systolic blood pressure compared to those less grateful. So think about how you feel right now. If you're not practicing gratitude and you get really stressed by something, then you notice that the pressure, that problem just can be all consuming. So one of the things that I read over the weekend was in 2018, the number one health topic that was plugged into Google. I don't know if you guys saw this report, but the number one thing was blood pressure. And I saw these natural remedies, there's drug commercials on it. At the end of 2017, the American Heart Association actually lowered the amount. They call it pre-hypertension now. So I think they created a little bit of paranoia in the population, in the general public. But it's really interesting because nobody said, well, maybe we should just practice gratitude more. And so I think that's one of the most important things you can look at. Grateful patients, here's another study with stage B asymptomatic heart failure, were 16% less depressed, 20% less fatigued, and 18% more likely to believe they could control their symptoms of their illness compared to those less grateful. Very interesting, because if you look at depression, we have almost 40 million people per year in the United States die from some type of adverse reactions from antidepressants. And in Utah, the state that I live in, we have more people per capita that use antidepressants than any other state in the country. So I look at this and I said, man, imagine if we just all practiced a little more gratitude. Here's another study. Older adults administered the neuropeptide oxytocin showed a 12% increase in gratitude compared to those given a placebo. Now, there's ways you can do oxytocin. Oxytocin, if you've given someone a big hug, like a real hug, you need to hold them for a minute. It's not the awkward hug where it's like, okay, he's holding on too long, but big old hugs cause the oxytocin release. Or telling someone you love them, telling somebody you're grateful for them, this causes an oxytocin release. You can also get the oxytocin hormone, and you can use it intranasally as a nasal mist. And a lot of people, like especially mothers who are having a hard time breastfeeding, the oxytocin can be used to let the milk down. When your baby cries, you get the oxytocin release, and then this is why mothers who are currently breastfeeding, if there's another baby crying, all of a sudden their milk comes in. And so they're like, oh man, I don't have my baby with me, but that's because the oxytocin. So hugging is a great way, and just sharing and practicing gratitude helps increase oxytocin. And these older adults who receive that neuropeptide intranasally, 12% increase in gratitude. So pretty amazing. Gratitude, keeping a gratitude diary for 2 weeks produce sustained reduction in perceived stress, at least at 28%, and depression, 16% reduction in healthcare practitioners. So all you healthcare providers out there, I know we have several on this, practicing gratitude could be one of the things that keeps you from that burnout stage that so many of us get into. And so gratitude's key. Gratitude's related to 23% lower levels of stress hormones, of cortisol. And then practicing gratitude led to a 7% reduction in biomarkers of inflammation in patients with congestive heart failure. 2 gratitude activities, counting blessings and gratitude letter writing, reduce the risk of depression in at-risk patients by 41% over a 6-month period. So I know at the beginning of this webinar, I asked you guys, I said, hey, take some notes, figure out, what gratitude process you want to go through, and get that thing all dialed in, and let's see how it changes your life. And even doing the Win Streak app could be huge. But I really want to hear from you guys, what changes come from your life because of this gratitude principle. So a couple more studies. Grateful people have between 9 to 13% lower hemoglobin A1C levels. So those of you who have blood sugar issues, gratitude is related to a 10% improvement in sleep quality in patients with chronic pain, 76% of whom had insomnia, because a lot of times the pain goes with insomnia, and then 19% lower depression. Writing a letter of gratitude reduced feelings of hopelessness in 88% of suicidal patients, and increased levels of optimism in 94% of them. Dietary fat intake is reduced by as much as 25% when people are keeping a gratitude journal. So everything is so much better that way. So I hope you guys are just super grateful for your lives and the opportunity we have to communicate and be together in this moment. I would like to take a minute and invite you guys to join me on a little journey for health, and this journey is going to be a Swiss medical retreat. So I don't know if you guys have ever done anything like this for your health, something big, but the new year's coming up. And so at November 3rd through the 10th, and then the 10th through the 17th, I will be hosting a Swiss medical retreat. Tom O'Brien, he'll be there the week before me. Heather Dessinger should be there the week before. This is an event that's put on by the Green Smoothie girl, Robin Openshaw. She said, hey, Regan, why don't you host this event? And so we're just opening it up. But for those of you who are looking for ways of really enhancing your body, you'll be working with some of the best biological doctors on the planet. I'll be there participating, so I'll be doing my own medical retreat, but then I'll be teaching classes, having conversations at night. I'll be doing some hiking with everybody. But we have 30 spots available. So if this is of interest to you, all you need to do is email me, Regan at Go Wellness, and then I can get you all the details. But really look forward to hearing how your gratitude process is going. Love you guys and appreciate each one of you for who you are as a person and for everything that you've taught me in your own healing journeys. It's been phenomenal and miraculous to watch. So love you guys, and we'll see you soon.